I just don't.
Sorry, Lynn.
It's okay. So I just have to figure out how to segue into whatever that might be.
Okay. So as you're thinking about what's next, and it comes up for you, like you said, getting more into the communications, you've highlighted a couple of times about Toastmasters and bringing people together, having like those opportunities with the library and some of those events. So how is that translating into the current roles that you're looking at, and what might you do differently now based on some of this insight?
Well, I have a job buddy and we have a call on Monday morning, so I'm going to talk to her about it in my call on Monday. It's a problem I have with my resume and LinkedIn. That adage that you're talking about what you've done instead of where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I just have to figure out how I would craft like my summary statement so it's goes away from members. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what I'll end up in, but I know that my like summary isn't strong enough as to where I want to go. And that's probably just part of this reason that like going through these exercises has been helpful.
Yeah. Right. Because I think as we talked earlier, right, setting that intention for what it is you want to be doing, it might be different than what your experience is, but if you can clearly articulate that in your about section. The other thing I would encourage, all of you to do is, LinkedIn's certainly not leveraged all in the same way, but you could create, Lynn, a video message that you could put in your about section, or you can put it down in that features section where you tell people what it is that you want to be doing and why you've decided to make, the shift and what you're setting forth for yourself. And that, you might look below and see these experiences have all led me to this point where I really feel like I'm prepared to help go into a role such as whatever that is, head of communications or in marketing. But I would also encourage you all to just take a look at how you get your message out can be very different than what we traditionally have done in the past. But you can put in features. You could say about me and let people see that. Put it in your about section, put it in a couple places so people know a video message can go a really long way. A minute, 2 minutes tops, that's all it has to be, and can help people really see and get to know who you are.
It'll also show your passion, because your passion doesn't show on a resume, which is a piece of paper. But a video, you can really be, passionate about that 1, 2, 3 things, just like Margaret was saying earlier, so that, wow, she really, really loves this and it should be great. So that might give you a leg up.
Yep. Okay. Anybody else want to share kind of their thoughts going through this exercise and maybe what it might mean for them? Yes, Hermina. I can't hear you, sorry.
I haven't muted everybody, Hermina. I haven't touched that button actually.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yes,
I had to figure out what star button to press to become unmuted, because other than that, I'm not muted. Sorry, I put something in the chat for you, Christine. Appreciate it.
No
you
problem.
got
So,
it.
I apologize for joining late, but I think I caught up fairly quickly in the questions. And for me, it wasn't starting at 8. It was probably a memory from 6.
Okay.
And what it was I started memorizing this, I'll call them serial numbers on the dollar bills.
Wow.
And I would nag my mom wondering what happened to the money that I gave her, and accuse my sisters or whomever of stealing my cash because it wasn't the same bill. And while they would try to give me 4 quarters for $1, whatever it was, I'm like, it's not the same. Or the person on the face of the $20 bill wasn't the same. What's happening to the money? So my mother got so frustrated that she actually took me to the Federal Reserve. And I swear this is a true story. And my eyes just lit up, because I got to learn where money was coming from, how to make money, what was happening with it. And I was like, this is so cool, right? So while I never got a job to work at the Fed, I did, as soon as I graduated high school, get a job in a bank. And 35 years later, I was in banking. Some of the others on the call, unfortunately, after 25 years at my last employer, I'm currently in transition. But the one thing that I think I had realized with the different phases, starting from a teller and working my way up to managing teams in corporate investment banking, is that I'm still passionate about the type of banking that helps the company produce some type of an asset or widget, if you will, such that the end consumer can go and purchase it. And even if it's a merger or an acquisition, the end consumer still has to benefit from whatever it is. And that's a special type of banking and finance called securitization. But where I'm stuck right now is, without giving a 1 to 2 minute speech, how do I come up with that as a 30-second elevator pitch, so to speak? Right?
Okay.
Yeah. And get the passion out, as Christine is saying, yet to explain to people that I do a specialized type of banking and finance.
Yep. Okay. So couple things came to mind. If you don't mind, I'm just going to throw these out at you. I don't know if you're involved with the Association for Corporate Growth, ACG. We have chapters here in Michigan. We have one in Southeast Michigan and one in West Michigan. And they offer, here we do what they call Friday forums, and they're every other week. But it will get you exposure to people in, private equity, small investment bankers, things like that are really trying to, move things, right? It's Association for Corporate Growth for a reason. So that could be a really interesting, and I've attended a couple of those meetings. There's no charge for the networking events, but check locally for yourself. And even, nowadays with the world being the way it is, you may be able to join other chapters or attend these sessions in other states or cities that will get you some experience and exposure. It's a great place to do the next piece, which is around your elevator pitch. So this is for everybody. There's a person, his name is Ryan Foland, Foland, and he has a podcast called The 313. And what's funny is that used to be the area code in the Detroit area, and anybody that still has a 313 number, that's an old area code, but it now is in California, but he teaches people how to do an elevator pitch. It's a totally different method. The first time you're going to hear it, you'll shake your head and go, this isn't going to work for me. But he really tries to get you to talk about, what you do, but relating it to what problem you solve. So it's going to play with your brain a little bit if you haven't heard this method. And then what he's really trying to do is get you to get clear and concise in that pitch, just like you were talking about, and get it down to 3 words. And he does that in a different way of trying to have you think either from a metaphor or from an example, what you do. So when I go into those networking conversations, I start off with, I'm a tour guide for leaders in transition. So what do you think about when I say tour guide? You know what a tour guide does. You take people into cities, you help them navigate, figure out where to go, what to do. That's exactly what I do for leaders in new roles, is I'm a tour guide for leaders in new roles. And that's what I do. And he got it down to those 3 words. And then you can go into, the rest of the story. But Ryan Foland, 313 Method podcast, highly encourage you, even if you just listen to one, but I'll tell you, once you listen to one, you're going to want to listen to others, because he takes you through this whole process, and he'll take somebody like you, Hermina, and say, okay, tell me what you do. And you'll start and he'll do a buzzer and go, because you say, I do this for everyone and I do it for anyone. You know what? Wrong answer. What do you do? Who do you do it for? And what problem are you solving? And he'll take you through that whole process. I'd really encourage you, because it's a way for you to come up with that 30-second elevator pitch. And Association for Corporate Growth could be a really great networking opportunity for you.
Something different. Everything Dawn is saying, she's giving you different ideas. And at least I have always said, if something does not work for you, try it for 6 weeks. But if you're not getting the results you want, you need to make a change and try something different for 6 more weeks. And if you're still not getting your results, try something different. And this might be another way that you can incorporate change very easily into your marketing self, into your marketing materials so that you can land. So I encourage you to check out what Dawn is saying and incorporate one of those changes into your plans.
Great. Okay, well, I want to be cognizant of our time here. So what I'm going to do next is talk about some of the resources. So it's a good segue into this piece for you. So I mentioned at the start a little bit about The Artist's Way, which is the book by Julia Cameron, and then a couple of other resources that I would offer to you. So particularly, you know, given where you are and on your journey, you may know about some of these resources from the work that Christine has been sharing with all of you. But one of the books that was really important for me was this book called The Leap Kit Field Guide. It's by the Experience Institute. So if anybody's familiar with design thinking and that philosophy, this book actually comes with this huge poster roadmap and with sticky notes, and you start to really think about what's next and that leap. And it has a series of questions you work through. It's really intended for people maybe, you know, initially when I got it for entrepreneurs, but I started to use it for myself and thinking about, okay, what's the next leap I want to take? And this was long before I knew I was going to take the journey to be a business owner. But you can get some information through the Experience Institute. The next one is Simon Sinek, which I'm sure many of you have heard of, and Simon's work on, you know, starting with why and figuring that out. And then he has his second book is, you know, Finding Your Why, which is more of a workbook format, where it takes you through a series of questions. And he's a great resource for you just to look up and get to know. The last book is called The 20-Minute Networking Meeting. So I'm sure that Christine has encouraged all of you to do as much networking as you can, because you never know where that conversation is going to lead. This allows you to get really clear and concise on an agenda for those 20-minute conversations. And I guarantee you can do them in 20 minutes. And there's not many people that are going to turn you down and can't give you 20 minutes of their time, but it takes you through a process and a series of questions of preparing for that conversation and how to ask the other person questions that you'll get to know them better. And you can, you know, leave at the end with, are there other people you think I should talk to? But gets you to know more about them as an individual and sets it up for a great conversation. I tell a lot of people, don't try to, you know, read to the back of the book and get the agenda. Read the whole entire book. It's a short, you can get it on Amazon for like $7. But I want you to read the whole book, and then it doesn't give you, you know, on the appendix, the whole script. You've got to read through it to get all of the pieces and parts, and the way you set it up, it's a really quick and easy read. The other piece that I would share with you for me is around podcasts and things that I have really benefited from. I mentioned, I'll have to add Ryan's podcast on here, the 313. And then you've got the podcast by Adam Grant called Work Life. There's a really great podcast. It was season 2, episode 7 back in April of 2019 about bouncing back from rejection. And I know when I was going through this journey myself, there were a lot of times I felt lots of rejection in the process. And so there's a great story about a couple of people that have had to battle with rejection and where it led them. So have you take a look at that. Big fan of Brene Brown and her podcast called Unlocking Us. And then I am a big subscriber to Dan Harris, and I love, and I've developed a daily practice of meditation that's helped me. But his 10% Happier podcast, he actually interviews different people about how they found meditation, or he'll bring in different people talking about, well-being and things like that. So being mindful and taking care of yourself during this time is really important. And then the last one is the NPR broadcast called How They Built This. And I love listening to it because people have been on these different journeys of how they became a business owner, and you don't know the backstory. And you learn a lot of different things from hearing their story, what they did, maybe gives you some ideas and sparks some creativity in yourself of how you can go on that journey as well. So those are my references for, books and resources for you on your journey. So I see.
I know that a lot of people, everyone that's still on the call hanging out, they're writing as fast as they can. They want to, follow up and check all these wonderful resources out. Is there a slide or a way that we can get everything put in chat so that people that are not able to finish the call with us, they had somewhere else to go, can still take advantage of those resources.
Well, sure. I think like you gave the suggestion at the beginning, Christine, of doing the screenshot.
Yes.
So if you want to maybe remind people how to do that, I can, while you're doing that piece, maybe I'll type real quickly.
Okay. That would be very helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
Don't forget, if you want to take a screenshot, that way Dawn is going to type out all of the books and the podcasts and the information for you. Look at your keyboard. I'm not sure if it works on an iPad keyboard, but on a desktop or a laptop keyboard, at the top on the right-hand side is the print screen button. If you hit the print screen button, when she puts up that slide with the information, you can hit print screen, go to your Word document, the blank Word document, and right-click your mouse, and it will be magically there, just like a copy and paste. And so you'll have all the information.
I'm sorry, I must have stopped sharing my screen. I didn't mean to do that.
Ah, here we go. Resources. It is recording, so it will be posted as well. So you'll be able to refer back to it. But you hit the print screen, go to your Word, and then paste. It will be there, just like I just did.
Okay, and then we got podcast next. And you want season 2, episode 7. Okay.
I will save the chat box with the YouTube replay video, so you'll have access to both, because there are some information that Dawn has typed into the chat box for everyone, as well as the slide with the books.
There's the last one, the 313. Okay, I guess I just
Thank you.
I'll wrap up here in a second, but are there any final questions or thoughts anybody has for me?
Questions, anyone?
No? Okay.
All right.
All right, so what I'd like you to do, I'm going to just challenge each of you on your piece of paper. I want you to write down, what did you learn? So I learned, fill in the blank. And then I will, and fill in that blank. If anybody wants to share in the chat what they learned and what they'll do as a result, that would be great. And then I will just share this information on the screen. If anybody wants to reach out to me, you can get to me through my website. I'm on LinkedIn. I would encourage, and I'll accept, invitations from all of you. Just make sure you put a note in the chat that you were part of Christine's conversation today, and be happy to help. I post videos every week on leadership topics. That's my YouTube channel there. And then I am also on Facebook. So feel free to reach out to me through Talent Activators. And then if you do go to the website, there is a free career activation session that you can sign up for. Happy to have a conversation. I'll ask you a couple of questions in advance of that session, and we'll go through some of it and see if there's a way that I can help you maybe step confidently in then that next stage of your career. But I really appreciate the opportunity to get to know everybody, and coaching services are available. I really have enjoyed getting to know each of you, and I appreciate you being so open and vulnerable with your journeys and your experiences and the stories. And I hope that you got some real great benefit from it, but I've really enjoyed it. And thanks, Christine, for inviting me.
Thank you for coming and sharing all the information with us. If you are not already a part of Dawn's newsletter and her email, I would definitely take advantage of it. She has some really great tidbits. I was extremely surprised that all the stuff that you can apply to so many aspects of your life and just give you tidbits and tips. If you got 1 or 2 things out of today, you are light years ahead of the people next to you that did not attend and did not join the session to learn from Dawn. So you need to pat yourself on the back because you could have been doing anything. Snuggling in front of your TV with a blanket because it's cold out. And you didn't, you chose to come here. So I do thank you, and Dawn thanks you, and hopefully you got a few things that you can incorporate into your job search. Yep. All right, very good.
Thanks everybody. It's great to meet you all.
Thank you, and the replay will be on YouTube in around 48 hours, and I will send you a note to let you know all the information. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye,
Have
everybody.
a good day, everyone.
You too.